Hey guys, I have another redstone video for you today, and in front of me is another creation that I've been sitting on for over a year now, probably 2 years at least, and as you can see it's just a plain old 4x4 door. And in the age of 1.11, it's really not that special, but back in 1.8 when I made it, it still really wasn't that special either, because it wasn't the fastest, it wasn't the smallest, it wasn't the most resource friendly or whatever. Instead, I designed it to be sort of a jack of all trades, master of none deal, where it made a good compromise in each of those categories. And as you can see here, it's not a boring 3 wide design, it's only a 2 wide design. And also, it's not terribly slow either, as you saw earlier. And unlike other 4x4 doors of this size, it does make an attempt to be synchronized, because what other 4x4 doors tend to do is they would have the top in sync, because that's pretty easy to do, and then they would have the middle in sync as well. And then the bottom sort of looks like mine, but then they would usually have one corner that's terribly off sync, and it looks absolutely garbage in my opinion, because it's just like lagging a whole 1 second behind everything else. And yeah, it's really not that fun to look at, but this one I tried to make it synchronized, and in fact I did make it entirely synchronized horizontally. So it may not be synchronized per quadrant and like 100%, but it is synchronized at least down the middle, which looks pretty great. Doesn't look perfect, but yeah, I think it's a door that I would be happy to have in my base if I really needed it. But yeah, this door should work in every version from 1.6 and above. Right now I'm on a 1.11 server. And yeah, I guess we could get started on the tutorial. Alright, so the first step of this creation is to make the layout that you see in front of me right here, and all of these pistons are sticky pistons, so keep that in mind. And also, we won't be needing any normal pistons at all in this entire build, so you could just put those right back in your chest or whatever. But once you build this layout, then we could get started on the redstone. So our input is going to be right here, and that'll power 3 torches, and 2 of which will have blocks above them. And then this torch here will just power the rest of the bottom pistons. And then after you do that, then we need to pick a side to make first. I'll just do the right side, because why not? And I'll just go into a torch going into a repeater, and that repeater will power this torch here, which will go into the rest of the double piston extender and the top circuit. Now before we do that, then what we need to do is just come back down here and finish off this bottom. So first things first, we need a 3-tick repeater going into that dust there, and you may recognize this portion as being part of an old school monostable before we had hopper droppers and fancy doodads like that. People made monostables like this. But anyways, we don't need a history lesson, we need to finish this door after all. So come to the side next, and then place a 4-tick repeater there going into a 1-tick repeater, and that'll power that dust, which powers that block there. And it'll also power the opening, which we'll get to in a second, so don't worry about that right now. To finish off the closing, what we need to do is just bridge up this dust to the top here, and that'll go into a 2-tick repeater going into a dust. And instead of placing a block there, what we need is a dropper, and once again the rest of that will be part of the opening. So that should be it for the closing of this side actually. Should close, and it should also retract the first blocks into storage like that. And then what we can do is finish off the opening. We got the first step done by retracting those storage pistons, but now we just need to do a little bit more to have the double piston extender activate and grab those blocks. So to do that, what we need to do is place a repeater going into a torch there, going into another torch up here, and then to turn that torch, to give that torch a little bit of delay, what we need to do is place a repeater on 3 ticks there and a dust there. Then we need to come to this side and place a sticky piston holding a cauldron, except this cauldron will be a little bit special because it won't be entirely filled. It'll only be filled 2 ways up, so just use a bottle once and that should take 1 level down, which is what we need. And then we just need to grab myself back my things. Oh my goodness, I'm getting all mixed up with clicking. Grab yourself a comparator, and that'll just output into that. Then on the top here we can finish off this hopper dropper. That will be going into a comparator on the slab, and then that dust there will bud that, and then we could just place an item in here. Any item will do. And also on this side we need another hopper dropper, and that will go into a comparator going into a dust like that. And in here once again we could just have any item, and that should be the opening on this side actually. So if we were to replace that and then try it out, it should work. Closing works, and opening works, almost works. I forgot to place a block here. You need a block there, at least 1 in the hallway, to allow those pistons to be powered. So closing works, And there we go. Now the opening works. And basically the right side is, or the left side rather, is pretty much exactly the same, except we need a compromise for that being shifted over by 1. So what we need to do is place a torch there going into a repeater. And all of this should be very familiar. I don't even think I need to commentate it, but I guess I will. So back down here again, another old school monostable going into a repeater, torch, block, and then a slab tower of things going into a repeater on 2 ticks, and then blocks there to power those middle pistons, and then a dropper there, and we'll get back to that in a second because we'll come back down here. Actually, it's probably better if you guys are building this in survival if we just do the top first. Probably should have thought about that. I'm usually in creative though, so I don't think about those things. But of course, we can just do the top right now. It really doesn't make a difference at all. So comparator there going into a dust. That'll go back down into this sticky piston holding a cauldron, and then reduce the water level by 1. That'll go into a cauldron when, or a comparator when it's retracted. And then we also have another hopper dropper circuit up here. So just place that like this. Once again, any item will do in there. And that'll go into this dust here. Then we can come back down here and finish off this. So repeater on 4, repeater on 1. That'll go into a dust. That'll go into another repeater. And then we just need a torch tower. Then to delay that, we need a repeater on 3 ticks there, and then we should be good for the entire door. Oh wait, no, I gotta replace that block. I almost did it again. So place that block there, and then closing works, and the opening works fine as well. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, sorry for the lack of uploads and things and stuff like that, but I do have an entire backlog of videos to release, and I will hopefully get to that very soon, so stick around for that. And yeah, until next time, goodbye.